Algebra 2, Section 4.3 deals with multiplying matrices. Now, the last section you added and subtracted the matrices, and as long as they were the same exact dimension, you could go ahead and add and subtract the corresponding parts of each one. With multiplying matrices, it's a little bit more difficult. And that has to do not only with the dimensions, but also the way that we multiply, and there are certain steps that you have to check. So again, when you're adding and subtracting, the dimensions have to be the same. But in this case, when you add and subtract and check, when you multiply and you're checking the dimensions, you're not looking for the same one. For example, if I had a matrix that's 3 by 2 and another matrix is being multiplied by another matrix that's 3 by 2, I can't multiply these together. Because in order for you to multiply matrices together, when you put them side by side, the middle numbers, the inside numbers, have to be the same. So this is 2, even if they're the exact same, but since this is 2 in the middle, and this is 3, this is not the same, so these cannot be multiplied. These, on the other hand, can. 2 by 2. Okay? So because these are the same, I can know automatically, yes, this can be multiplied. And then the outside numbers are for something completely different. This tells me, the inside numbers tell me that they have to be the same in order for me to be able to multiply. It gives me permission to multiply. The outside numbers then tell me what my new matrix is going to look like. So it could be completely different. So if I had a matrix that's 4 by 2 and 2 by 3, these are the same. So yes, I can multiply them together, but my new matrix is going to be a whole new matrix, which is 4 by 3. Does that make sense? So in this case, because these are both 2 by 2, my new matrix, the outside numbers, are going to be 2 by 2. And we multiply by taking this 2. This tells me I'm going to have 2 rows. Remember, it's row by column and 2 columns. So I'm going to have 2 rows and 2 columns. This right here, and I'm going to label it for you. This is what I call the key. Once I create the key, this whole multiplying matrices comes a little easier. So it's a key that lets me know which rows and which columns I'm going to multiply. For the example, this is row 1, column 1. So I have, this is row 1, and I'm going to multiply it by column 1. Because there's multiple numbers in each one, I'm going to add them. So I'm going to multiply A1 and X1, okay? And then I'm going to add it with the other one, B1 and X2. See how that works? And the next one tells me row 1, so the first row, but this time it's the second column. So right here, I'm going to have A1, Y1, and then B1, Y2. Now that may be a little bit confusing, but it's very important that you understand how to make the key. And when we do the example problem, it might help a little bit more on how that works. So go ahead and copy this down. We're going to try the example problem. So if you're completely confused, that's okay. We're going to try the example problem, and it should clarify some things. Because we've been dealing with letters, so let's deal with actual numbers. So you should have the notes already written down. So that means the first step is to check the dimension. So this has 2 rows and 3 columns. This has 3 columns and 2 rows. We have 3 rows and 2 columns, right? So these numbers are the same, so therefore can we or can we not multiply them? Well, yes, because this is 3, we can multiply them. But our new matrix is going to be the outside numbers, which is going to be a 2 by 2. So I'm going to create my key. Okay? What that means is I'm going to have 2 what? 2 rows and 2 columns. So I'm going to have 2 rows, row 1, row 2, and I'm going to have, oh, let me write it here. Let me put it here. Row 1, row 1 and row 2. And this is, I'm going to have column 1 and column 2, right? Because that's my new matrix, 2 by 2. So if it had 2 by 3, then I would have a third column here. But because it's 2 by 2, I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. Here's just like one of those multiplication charts, whatever matches up. So this is row 1, row 1, column 1. This one would be what? Row 1, column 2. This would be row 2, column 1. And this would be row 2, column 1. You can't see that. Row 1, column 2. So that's the key I created. So now let's use the key to actually fill things in. Alright? Now, it's going to be easy for you to want to just go ahead and add everything, multiply things together, but you can't. You have to show your steps so that if you make a mistake, I can find it, especially on the test, and so that it minimizes how many mistakes you make. So I might be going through the steps a lot, I know, but I trust that you will show as much work as possible. Alright, so the first one is telling me row 1, column 1. So this is for the first matrix, and the second one tells me the second. So row 1, this is row 1, and this is column 1. Do you see that? So I'm going to multiply the corresponding ones and then add them. So what I mean is going to be 3 times 1. See that? And then it's going to be plus 2 times 4, okay, plus 2 times 0. Okay? This is going to be the next one. Okay, let's do this one. Row 1, so this is row 1 again. Okay, but this time we're doing column 2. So I'm going to have negative 3 times negative 2 plus 2 times 3 plus, I'm not giving myself enough room. So negative 3 times 2, negative 2, okay, plus 2 times 3 plus 2 times negative 1. Okay? Next one is going to be, this one says row 2, so I'm going to do row 2, column 1. See how the key is important? Row 2 is negative 1 times 1, and we go down, and to the left and down, plus negative 2 times 4, okay, and then plus 0 times 0. And our last one is going to be row 2, column 1. So row 2, column 1. So we have negative 1 times negative 2 plus negative 2 times 3 plus 0 times 1. Right? So I color-coded it so you can see. The red is going to be row 1, column 1, so that you're able to go back if you get stuck, you can go back and understand the notes. Once you get this, then it's just a matter of multiplication and addition. So from there, we just shrink everything down so that we get one number for each. And again, it's 2 by 2. This is all going to be one number. This is another, this is another, and this is another. So let's do the multiplication for it first. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, plus 2 times 4, which is 8, plus 2 times 0, which is 0. We have negative 1 times 1, which is negative 1, plus negative 8, plus another 0. Negative 3 times negative 2, 2 negatives make a positive, so we have 6 plus 6, and then 2 times negative 1 is plus negative 2. This is also 2 negatives, so we're going to have positive 2. Negative 2 times 3 is plus negative 6, and then 0 times 1 is 0. And then our final answer is just basically to add everything together. So I'm going to add them. Sorry. Negative 3 plus 8 is 5. I'm sorry, guys. Negative 3 plus 8 is 5. And then -1 plus -8 is -9. 6 plus 6 is 12, plus -2, which would be -2. 12 minus 2 would give us 10. And then 2 plus -6 is -4. And once that happens, we have that number. Do pay attention that it does matter which way you multiply it. So if I were to switch this, okay, and multiply this by this, I'd get some. I might not even be able to multiply. In this case, I could, but I'll get a whole different set of numbers. So in this case, multiplication is you'll get a different answer. So go ahead and write this down. You're going to go ahead and do page 181, numbers 4 and 6. So page 181, numbers 4 and 6, and I'll see you in class.